Yes, this is Friday Sports Riot. I'm Ryan Hoppe, and yes, we are introducing a segment with I Believe I Can Fly with R. Kelly. That's how we roll. If you want to get involved with the show and tweet at us, it's not hard. Tweet at me at Hoppe Radio 893.
And tweet at me at Ryan Stuprich, Stuprich.
And the call to show is 630-403-5200. That's 630-403-5200. And on the phone line, Ryan, who do we have on?
We have Jonathan Hood. What's up, Jonathan?
Friday Sports Riot. How's everything?
We are doing really good, man. How about you?
Doing well, thank you.
Now, going on with the Chicago Bulls, their record is 8-12. Any chance of a comeback season, or do you think they could possibly tank for the rest of it?
This is very difficult, Ryan. When you look at what's going on with their injuries, they did not foresee Jimmy Butler going down, Luol Deng, Joakim Noah not playing 100%. So it's just been really difficult. I think that, as I said after the Derrick Rose injury, that Tom Thibodeau won't allow the Bulls to quit. So this team, number one, will not tank because Tom Thibodeau is coaching, and that's not going to happen. The other thing is that this team is going to give you a maximum effort every night. In a game in which they still were without their starters and their good players, they still took the Knicks to the limit. So that says something about the Knicks, and it says something about the Bulls also. So, from my standpoint, I just think that this team is still going to make the playoffs in a weak East. Their shelf life may not be long, but they will make the playoffs because Thibodeau is going to push them. And this team, with their veterans, they have pride. They're not going to just turn tail just because they have enough players to be able to get to the playoffs at the very least in the East.
And now, do you think it was a bad move to build the team around Derrick Rose?
Well, Ryan, the one thing that I've criticized the Bulls about is that, this is not the 1980s where you build a team around just one guy. In 2013, you build your team around several superstars. This is the way it works with the Clippers in Oklahoma City and Miami and Indiana, a place like that. You try to build around multiple stars that can score the basketball. That's what it comes down to. There was a time when I was coming up where Reggie Miller was it. Michael Jordan was it. Isaiah Thomas was it. But and they always had a good cast around them. And now you look now and you see there's a reason why even Brooklyn came together the way they did, because they had multiple stars in the team that's trying to get it done. So, so as far as I'm concerned, and I've criticized the Bulls on the Bulls network that you have to be able from jump find someone to play along with Derrick Rose, because nothing against Deng and Noah, but you have to find someone that can score every night, and it's not about Luol scoring 20 points one night and 10 the next, Carlos Boozer being a 20 and 10 guy for a couple nights and then regressing back to scoring 10 and getting into foul trouble. Stars in this league bring production every night, and that's where the Bulls are bereft in talent.
Are the Bulls capable of bringing in any top-tier players, since we need to have one or two more elite players to be contenders along with Derrick Rose once he's healthy again? Or is there just a bad reputation with this team where the top players like LeBron, Dwayne Wade just don't want to come to Chicago?
I don't know. I don't really know the perception of what players believe or what they think about Chicago, Ryan. I have no idea how they feel, but money's money. And you're in a top market. You know that you're going to get love. In New York, Los Angeles, in Chicago, Dallas, Houston, there are, San Francisco with the Golden State Warriors. These are major markets in the league, and you always have your choice on where you want to go. But also, I think that today's player is a lot savvier than they were, say, 20 years ago, because no matter where it is, they look at the best opportunity to win. What I think is the incorrect knock on today's generation of players is that players just want money and they don't care about winning. They do care about winning. They do care about legacy, because they're tired of hearing about the Jordans and the Kobes and guys before them and talking about their legacies. And so I really think that today's player wants to be able to go in the best situation to win. The Bulls for the last 20 years have not been able to find a blockbuster deal to bring multiple difference-making stars into our city. And I don't know if that's just bad general managing or if that's just players deciding that they want to go someplace where there's no state tax, like Texas, like Florida. maybe that's their choice. But I know one thing, that Gar Forman has to be able to bring in, via trade or free agency, better players to play around with Derrick Rose for the long haul, because otherwise you'll just hit that glass ceiling. And in the league, and you see the standings every day, man, if you get that glass ceiling in the NBA, you'll go to the playoffs, but you'll never get to where you need to be because you don't have the proper stars to get to where you need to be. That's tough in the NBA.
You're listening to Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com with Jonathan Hood. And now, Jonathan, do you think the Bulls will take back Tom Thibodeau, or do you think that he would move on to a different team if the Bulls do decide to start to gut this team?
Yeah, that's a good question, Ryan. I think that when you think of Tom Thibodeau, here's a guy here that obviously wants to win. Every coach in the league wants to win, but you know that Tom Thibodeau is a really different animal. There's only I'd probably say only a handful of coaches that get up really, really early in the morning and break down tape and is there before their own assistant coaches are. You know, I've heard stories of Thibodeau getting to the Berto Center at 5 a.m. and assistants kind of roll in 6:30 because he's already looking at tape, always trying to figure out how does the team get better. And so he is just really focused on how to get the Bulls to where they need to be. I think it's a good question because Thibodeau and Gar Forman don't have a good relationship anyway. It's not a great relationship. It's just okay, manageable for right now. So I wonder about his long-term future here also. I don't know. There's been people telling me off the record that Thibodeau may not stay his entire contract, his new deal, because of frustrations with Gar Forman and the organization. I mean, there's always issues, but I don't know how serious they are right now. But I think time will tell on all of that to see how long Thibodeau was willing to wait through this and how long Derrick Rose was willing to wait to see if this Bulls team is able to acquiesce and get better and be a real contender in the league.
And now, have any of your inside sources in the Bulls talked about, is there any frustration with the amount of playing minutes that Tom Thibodeau has had with all the players throughout his tenure on the Bulls?
No, I've never heard that. I've never heard that, Hoppe. I've never heard a player on or off the record complain about minutes.
I meant someone inside the team, like has Gar Forman or anybody, any of the executives been frustrated with the amount of playing time that he's had? Like, for example, when Deng played 52 minutes against the Pelicans.
No. They have never. They let Tom do what he has to do as a head coach. I have not heard on or off the record John Paxson, Gar Forman, anyone else within the organization complain about Tom and the use of minutes, because if you really research and look at some of the minutes that are played by some of the upper echelon teams in the league, those guys put in a lot of heavy minutes too. Now, there are some teams like San Antonio and Miami that gives their players, time off, a game here and there off. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, but they do what they think is best for their team. And Thibodeau is going to continue to push the pedal to the metal. Now, I guess my philosophy, would be this, is that, every game, guys, you can't win every game in the league. But Thibodeau believes every game is game 7 of the finals, and you can't do that. You can't coach that way. It's a random game in January against Minnesota. You just can't, if you lose, you lose. But you just can't coach and just get totally upset because you lose a game. If you lose a game, it's one thing to be competitive. It's another thing to be smart because you don't want to lose the locker room. Scott Skiles did that many times as a Bulls coach, Milwaukee coach, Phoenix coach. Is that you turn the table over for some random game in March that doesn't ultimately matter to try to motivate the team. And these are professionals. You treat professionals how they need to be treated. In a players' league, you can't really do that. So, as far as I've been told, they're cool with it because they know that Thibodeau works hard and Thibodeau expects them to work hard. So I think that they're cool with it for right now as we talk about this today.
Does the team have his back, or do you think there's any chance, let's say he keeps playing them so many minutes, and the team keeps on losing, and they go from being 8-12 to just more games under 500. Is there any way he'll become Scott Skiles 2.0 and he loses some of his team?
I don't think so. I think you have more of a problem with it than the players do. Quite frankly, because I think that you live so vicariously through the players that you feel their pain and their aches and pain. They don't have a problem with it. I'm telling you, they don't have a problem with it.
Okay, I guess.
And again, here's the thing. The difference between Scott Skiles and Tom Thibodeau is that Scott Skiles was playing a role as a hard ass, and he really wasn't. He's just sarcastic and very number one, very sarcastic and very passive aggressive in all the stops he's had in the NBA, and so there's a distinct difference between him and Thibodeau. Thibodeau's real. Thibodeau has won as an assistant coach. He was one of the real guiding lights for the Celtics to win the championship under Doc Rivers, because defense was the key to the Celtics' success. All those division championships, all those wins, Thibodeau was a big part of that because of the defense. And the players and the Bulls know that. The Bulls organization knows that too. So that's why I think that there is a distinct difference between Thibodeau and Skiles, in that Thibodeau knows how to be able to get the most out of his players. He rants and raves, but I remember we have guys on this Bulls team that have been with him from jump, and they have not complained overall about Thibodeau as being the head coach.
We're with Jonathan Hood on SportsTownChicago.com with the Friday Sports Riot. You can listen to him tomorrow night on Bulls Weekly, 5 to 6:30 p.m. And thanks so much for coming on to the show, and thanks for your insight on the Chicago Bulls.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And that was Jonathan Hood. What time is he on tomorrow? Real quick, just a quick reminder.
Tomorrow, 5 to 6:30, ESPN Chicago.
I don't know. He said he thinks it's just me saying that. It's me and a lot of Bulls fans that are questioning, is there too many minutes? And me and a lot of people in the media, I kind of agree with him.
Well, I mean, I can understand why the organization thinks that it's okay, because
they're going to have his back because he's the coach.
Well, and they're trying to compete still. And I think Jonathan's right when he says that they probably will go to the playoffs, because the East is just pretty bad, and the Bulls still have a good enough team to make it to the playoffs. Now, are they a one-and-done team? Yes, probably. But you never know.
You don't know that. The East is so awful. Dude, they could win a playoff series.
Yeah, but they have to be higher than a 7th or 8th seed in order to have a chance. Well,
dude, the East is really bad.
If they're a 7th and 8th seed, they're going to either be playing Miami or Indiana, and you're not going to win those games. The 3rd seed right now, I think, is Atlanta still. So, I mean, I guess that's possible. And anything after that is a go. But, of course, if the Knicks get to the playoffs, which I think they will, I think they're going to turn around, and I think they're going to be in the playoffs.
They'll be fine. There's no one else.
The Brooklyn Nets possibly will be in the playoffs, too.
If they get rid of Jason Kidd soon.
Those teams actually are kind of scary to the Bulls, too, I would think, because you have scorers that can go off like Joe Johnson and Carmelo Anthony. And the Bulls don't have anybody that can go off right now. They got a good, solid, team, but they don't have a perennial scorer like like they do when they have Derrick Rose on the team.
I love that line by Jonathan Hood, where I asked him about the playing minutes and has anybody inside the organization talked about it? He's like, no, I just think that's you, Hoppe.
Well, he's not wrong there. I mean, yeah.
That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. That is absolutely embarrassing.
All right. We'll be right back on the Friday Sports